Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Claire. I don't really know what else to say here. It has been a while since I've done one of these kitchen videos, so bear with me. Today I am basically going to share with you my recipe for a 10-inch round cake. I have already done a video talking about my quantities for a 10-inch cake, but I seem to get a lot of comments and people asking me the questions, so I'm doing the video again. I am not actually going to make the cake today because it is quite big and I have enough cake in my life right now. But what I will do is talk you through the recipe, what ingredients I use, the quantities, the tins, how long I bake it for, all stuff like that. And if you've got any further questions, then just drop them in the comments below and I will do my best to answer them. Another thing I'll add before we get started, I also did a full recipe tutorial video for my classic Victoria sponge cake, which I make all the time. So I would definitely go and check that one out first if you haven't already. If I can put the ingredients up on the screen somehow, I will, but honestly the video editing platform that I use is really basic and I don't know that I'll be able to do that, but I'll perhaps put it in the description or up on my website. I'll figure it out either way. Okay, first things first, cake tins. These are the ones that I personally use, 10-inch, 25 centimetre diameter. I bought these from Lakeland, don't know if you can see on there. They are called PushPan, that's the brand. Lakeland is a kitchenware shop in the UK. I think it's only UK based, I'm not quite sure. But you can probably buy these tins online from Amazon, places like that. I mean, Amazon sell everything, don't they? I think they're aluminium as well, which is a really good conductor of heat for baking. And the great thing about them is that they have a loose bottom base. So I'll push it out, I'll show you. I'm going to use a jar. Let me adjust. You can see. Okay, so I just, there we go. And not only are they loose bottomed, they're also watertight. Let's get you back up here. Yeah, you can see there's like a kind of, I don't know, rubber silicone ring around the side. So you could use these to make cheesecakes and stuff like that and it won't leak. I think on the website it says you don't have to line them. Personally, I would always line a cake tin, even if it said that. I generally only line the very bottom. I don't bother doing the sides, they come out fine. I'll just show you. I have this extra wide baking parchment, non-stick, which is great. I got this from Rypack. It's like a wholesalers for food packaging and stuff. So all I do is I draw around the circle and cut out the paper to line the bottom of the tin. I don't grease the sides or anything like that. I just don't find that it's necessary. When I come to take my cakes out, I just loosen it around the side with a palette knife and then you can easily push them out. Or sometimes I will just flip them out. It's a bit more risky, especially when you're making a big one, but I've made a lot of cakes, so I've got the knack. Now my recipe is for a 3-layer cake, which is how I make all my cakes. And I only have 2 tins. The reason for this is because my oven is not actually that big. I don't have some big commercial baking oven. and there are only 2 shelves. My Kenwood mix can only handle so much mixture at one time, and there are quite a lot of ingredients in this cake. So I bake the first 2 layers first, and then I do the 3rd one separately. The quantity of ingredients is actually quite easy to break down into thirds, so you can cut it down if you want to. It does make a big cake, it's very deep, so it's great for weddings, big celebrations, but if you just wanted to do 2 layers, say, you could just make 2/3 of the recipe. To explain it very simply, there is 1/3 of the total recipe in each cake tin, and it is quite easy to work out, I hope. It makes sense in my head, but I suppose I've had a lot of practice. Right, ingredients. There are only 4 ingredients in this cake. Very simple. First, butter or margarine. I personally prefer to use margarine because it gives such a light and fluffy texture, but a good quality baking margarine. I wouldn't recommend using one of those low-fat spreads or anything that's designed for spreading on bread or toast. They have a really strong margarine taste and they just don't produce the same effect. You can, of course, use butter if you like, mostly for the flavour. It's really a personal preference. Second ingredient, caster sugar. What else is there to say really about that? It's very readily available. I don't know if it's called caster sugar in the US or something else. It might be like super fine sugar, or is that icing sugar? I don't know, but I'm sure most of you know what caster sugar is. Third ingredient, eggs. I use free range medium eggs. They probably weigh around 50-55 grams without the shell. That's around the size of a medium egg. Final ingredient is flour, self-raising flour, which basically has a raising agent already added to it. You can use plain flour and then add baking powder, but I've tried that before and the results weren't quite the same. So personally, I prefer to get the self-raising, and I don't add any extra raising agent because I beat so much air into the cake mix before it goes in the oven that it's really not necessary to add anything else. Quantities: 750 grams of butter or margarine, 750 grams of caster sugar, 15 medium free range eggs, 750 grams of self-raising flour. Very simple, it's basically an equal quantity of each ingredient. You can, if you like, weigh your eggs if you want to be really precise. I just don't always bother, but I've been making cakes for many years. Each layer will come out quite deep. I would say in these pans it rises to like 1.5-2 inches high, and this is why it's so important to have a cake tin that's actually deep enough. So many people come to me saying that their cakes have sunk, and it's simply because there's not been enough room in the tin for them to rise up. So make sure you get your size of tin correct before you start. You can, as I've said, cut this recipe down if you like, because it's so easy to break into thirds. There are 250 grams of each ingredient and 5 eggs per cake layer. So what I'm used to doing is baking the first 2 layers first, which is 500 grams of each ingredient and 10 eggs, and then I will bake the final layer, which is another 250 grams and 5 eggs. Does that all make sense? I hope so. Baking time. I use a fan-assisted oven which I preheat to 170 degrees Celsius. You might prefer to go slightly higher than that, say 180, or maybe slightly lower. It's just one of those things that comes with practice and getting to know your oven. The cakes themselves do take quite a long time to bake because the layers are so deep. I sometimes find they can take up to 45 minutes to an hour. And I do find that I have to reduce the temperature of my oven slightly after, say, the first half an hour or so, just to prevent them browning too much. I know that they're baked once they are fully risen. They've got a nice golden brown crust, and when I insert a knife, it comes out perfectly clean. So I remove the cake tins from the oven, leave them for about 10-15 minutes, carefully go around the edge with a palette knife to loosen them, and then flip them out of the tins to completely cool. I think I have now covered all the main points, but if I have missed anything, let me know in the comments. I still reply to all my comments, even on the really old videos, which are kind of embarrassing for me to watch back now. But I'm happy to help where I can. Anything that I've mentioned in this video, like other videos, places to buy the cake tins and the full recipe, will be found in the description below. And that's it. That's the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye guys.